10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is January 23rd, and we're going to get started here with some really cool news from Joe. So, Joe here says that it's been something like 6 to 7 months, but version 2's migration is now complete, and it finally builds. This is a good day. So I really want to say congratulations to Joe for getting to this step. And what happened is, the Smartnode stack was built before Joe started working with Rocket Pool, and I think there was some old code, basically technical debt, a whole bunch of stuff that was kind of going on behind the scenes that wasn't needed anymore. And I think Joe kind of made it his mission, over the last 7 to 8 months to kind of rewrite the Smartnode stack from scratch, do things in a fresher and a cleaner way. And now he's saying that the process is very close to being done, and it's building, like the software version is like kind of coming together, and you have a Smartnode stack. So that's truly exciting news. And then Joe goes on to say, now I get to port over all the building tools that I wrote for NodeSet. So the stuff that he's been doing with NodeSet and like the work that's been happening there, he can actually start to work on some of that now, which is really exciting. So NodeSet, of course, is Rocket Pool's layer 2 scaling solution, kind of, and they're hoping to go live in the next couple of months. And Joe's been working with them, which is really exciting. So the great thing about Joe doing this is that the work that he does for the Smartnode stack, he can really readily incorporate the NodeSet stuff in a way that will make it really easy for Rocket Pool node operators to use. So that was a nice little update from Joe. And then later on, we got this other update from Joe as well, where he kind of like tagged what it looks like, and like a little screenshot of what it all looks like. And he says the Unix socket works, and now we have the foundation for a Smartnode with a HTTP API. So I have this plan in the next couple of days to write a bounty to the GMC for someone to make a front end for Rocket Pool Smartnode stack, where it'll have a graphical user interface instead of the command line interface that people use, or the terminal user interface that some people use as well. The Smartnode the config service config page, the TUI, having the whole of the Smartnode stack being on a graphical user interface, HTTP based, would be absolutely amazing. So I think now's the time, because the code is getting there, that I'm going to write a bounty. Or if someone else wants to write it ahead of me, you're welcome to do that, to write a bounty for a graphical user interface that can then build on top of the version 2 Smartnode stack that Joe is putting out, which would be absolutely amazing. And I think that would be really, really great. So yeah, congrats, Joe. I know this is a great milestone, and I know that he really wanted to get it done before he leaves for paternity leave, basically any second now. So that's really great that you've taken the ball all the way almost to the goal line, and now we're in a position where we can if Joe needs to go for paternity leave, then we as a community and the team can work together to get it over the finish line, which would be absolutely amazing. So congrats, Joe. Wonderful stuff. Okay, next we had Patches yesterday made a little thread with some information in here about Geth and the rescue node using Geth and what was going on with there. So he was kind of like bouncing some ideas around and asking for people in the community to kind of like check and see if the statements that he's making seem valid or if they're not valid. So Valdorf, Noshua, were giving him some feedback about the contents of his thread, and then Patches put out the thread. So we can have a look at the thread in the final form. So here he says, the rescue node was able to survive the Bisu and Nethermind issues because it runs Geth. He says, we'll be moving off Geth in the coming days, but I wanted to quickly explain why we used it to begin with and why we are moving away hastily. So he says, we originally chose Geth because we perceived an edge in reliability when we started the project over a year ago. We prioritized minimum pain for the maintainers. We were aware of majority client risks, but since access was temporary, we thought the risk was minimal and Geth was okay. What we didn't anticipate is how people would react during a chain split. Within half an hour of Nethermind splitting off, rescue node usage exploded, like we covered yesterday. Like it went up from a couple of hundred to thousands. It said nobody expected what was going on. Nobody knew what was going on, and we were not even sure if it was only Nethermind that was impacted or if in fact Geth had split. This is before we knew with certainty that Nethermind was on the wrong chain and Geth was on the right chain. People were passing around the rescue node link and encouraging node operators to use it to get back online. I don't think they were aware of the risks, which is our fault. He says if Geth had contained the bug, any Nethermind or BCU user who switched to a rescue node would have participated in the incorrect chain, which was finalizing. This means that they never would have been able to switch back to the correct chain. If they tried, they'd get slashed. If they decided instead to exit their validators on both chains, they would be racing against 85% plus of the staked ETH to do the same. For most people, this means they would leak out before making it to the front of the queue. Now, if the rescue node was running minority clients, anyone who panics during a split and uses it is safe. If the supermajority chain is correct, the chain never finalizes and it's safe to come home, as many Nethermind users did over the last day. However, if the minority chain turns out to be correct, then the supermajority client user faces an impossible choice: get slashed by switching or leak out. However, minority client users can safely switch between their own clients and the rescue node. To make matters worse, if we run the supermajority client and it splits due to a consensus bug, users on the minority clients who subsequently panic and connect to the rescue node would not be able to participate in the chain during quadratic leak, making recovery even slower, in addition to them getting slashed once the minority client eventually finalizes. He says, NB, it isn't clear to me how much VC's built-in slashing protection does in the case of a split. It probably won't save you. Basically, we never anticipated that people would flock to the rescue node during a split. It seems obvious in hindsight. Fortunately, we can de-risk this by simply running Nethermind and BSU on our nodes. And then there were some questions of people asking that you can go and have a look and see how that works. But there's some interesting discussion here as well. So definitely go and check that out. Okay, next we have another update from Patches about the rescue node. So he says that it's been a rocky 2 weeks and they might just forgive access requests around the date of the 2 client bugs. So this was the really great thing. So I said, please do that. I said that I'm so proud of the number of people switching away from Geth. This was yesterday. And Bossy said, what do the numbers look like? I said, it's too soon for the numbers yet, but lots of anecdotal reports. And we're going to be talking about that in the end of the episode as well. And then Patches was showing, he showed a poll that was, from a couple of weeks ago on the BSU incident. And since the poll was taken, like a few more people have said yes. But Patches asked, should I forgive rescue node quota usage for the last 48 hours? And people are saying, yes, BSU bugs shouldn't count against the node operator. And no, it sucks to suck. And 11 people said yes, forgive it. And 5 people said don't. But then now that yesterday it was like 9-5, and now it's gone up to 11-5. So even more, more than 66% of people saying that we should forgive it. And Patches was saying, I'm in favor because people running out of access makes more work for me. And Valdorf for that was like 100% convinced. He said, this is 100% convinced for me because, Patches was still helping out people by giving them access to the rescue node, even when they'd used up all their quota. So what happened with that was he was doing work manually to give out access to those people. So, that was taking up time for him that he could have been spending doing other things. So it's great that, it looks like the access to the rescue node for the last 2 weeks will be forgiven, hopefully, which is really cool. I'm a huge supporter of that because one of my nodes was running BSU and then the client, the bug happened. And then I switched it to Nethermind and it got bugged again. so yeah, good stuff. Okay, let's move on from that. So Val sent out a vibe check about the layer 2s that the IMC should be incentivizing. He says, hi all, this is a poll to get some understanding of where Rocket Pool community is at. I want to inform some of my opinions as an IMC member, but it's not meant to bind the IMC to anything specific at the moment. I'm trying not to include my own opinions here, so this is just a list of the top 20 from L2 Beat. You can vote for up to 4, but fewer is fine. The vote means something loose along some combination of, I think we should spend dollars to support our ETH here, I use this a lot, etc. So then he says added Polygon POS as a separate comment below. So here, Arbitrum 1 got 78% of the votes, 78% of the votes. Like I said, there were up to 4 votes. So got to keep that in mind. And then OP mainnet Optimism, zkSync Era. So I voted here for Arbitrum and zkSync because those are the 2 chains that I've used the most. However, I've also used OP mainnet Base. So I guess I should have selected those as well. But yeah, Scroll, Starknet, Immutable X, all the major ones are here, and they've all got some votes. So you can definitely, vote for some of those. And then here's Polygon as well. So I voted for that. But yeah, I guess this is a good idea for Val to do this, and for the IMC to start thinking about where they're going to incentivize liquidity for our ETH on layer 2s, because there'll be a world, I think, within the next year where there could be hundreds of layer 2s. We've already got more than 20, right? These are just the top 20 from L2B. There could be a world where we could potentially have thousands of L2s in one way or another, and then at that point that's just spread way too thin for the IMC. So it makes sense to kind of focus liquidity on some of the bigger versions until we get interop, like cross layer 2 like liquidity fragmentation solutions of the way that, however that's going to work, like that's beyond my technical expertise. But the idea is, eventually you'll be able to transact on Arbitrum 1, and in the background stuff will happen on zkSync or Base, and then your output could be on OP mainnet or whatever you want. Like that's hopefully where all of this is going. But until that happens, it makes sense to have liquidity in a concentrated space where our community members are. So it looks like at the moment, there's a big drop off after Base to Scroll, which goes down to 17%, but before that it's 78, 64, 57 and 50% for the 4 biggest layer 2s. So that's going to be interesting to see how that shapes IMC decisions going forward. Okay, next, as you all know, we had a new version of the Smartnode stack released yesterday. Shifrin was a little bit slow getting the poap ready, but he says upgrade your Smartnode to version 1.11.6 or within 24 hours to receive a poap. He says, I better not see any of you scoundrels running geth in your screenshots. He says, leave a screenshot of your Smartnode version in this thread to receive a poap. So you should remember that this version of the Smartnode stack is not necessary really unless you are running a Nethermind or Lodestar really, but you got to do it for the poap. So here we've got a whole bunch of people like running it. I'm going to read through their execution clients and shame them if they're using geth. So we have Nethermind, and that's externally managed by Huarog, so that might be geth, but we'll let him off this time. Then Nethermind, Bisu, woohoo! And then we also have another Bisu as well. So none of these scoundrels so far have used geth, so I guess they're not scoundrels, which is good. That's great. Okay, next we have some DeFi integration news. So here we have Integral, which is a next-gen DEX. They self-describe themselves as a next-gen DEX with insane capital efficiency and core competitiveness, where they're live on Ethereum and Arbitrum. And what they're saying here is that they are now announcing RPL-ETH is live on Integral. So it says this is a milestone for the Rocket Pool community and farmers. But what does this mean for you? Let's dive in. So here they've got some information about if you first off, for traders with RPL and ETH now in Integral, you'll enjoy better quotes and improved slippage control thanks to a sophisticated liquidity model, and they get easy access via integrators with 1inch and CowSwap, and you'll get the best trade outcomes if you use Integral, supposedly. And then they say that for liquidity providers, it's a game changer. So it says say goodbye to the hassle of concentrated liquidity farming. With RPL-ETH on Integral, your liquidity will always be in range. There's no more manual tweaking needed. And this means your assets will constantly be working for you, maximizing efficiency and returns without the constant oversight previously required. What's better is that Integral offers DAOs with powerful tools to coordinate liquidity provisions from the community. Token projects need only create a pool on Integral and token rewards and reap the benefits of concentrated liquidity. So they go on to say Integral is committed to pushing the boundaries of what's possible in DeFi. With RPL and ETH live, we're one step closer to that vision. Join us on redefining liquidity management, and then there's a link to their app. And it says, and then they called on me and other members of the community to kind of give them a boost. And they said none of the information contained here constitutes an offer or solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any currency, product, or financial instrument, to make an investment, or to participate in any particular trading strategy. So I think that is just to cover themselves with the SEC. And of course, I'm going to cover myself with the SEC by saying none of this is financial advice. Please provide liquidity or incentives on a platform like Integral at your own risk. Everything that you put into it could be lost if there's a bug or some kind of exploit. So please keep that in mind, and please be aware that this is I'd never heard of Integral before. So none of what I've said is an endorsement of that product, of course. Okay. Next, we're going to finish the episode on some great news that's kind of come out of the Geth issue, not the Geth issue, the Nethermind issue, but bringing attention to the potential Geth issue. So first of all, we have all nodes here. So we have Sephiroth, who is one of the people who works with all nodes and is kind of active on the Discords. So now there was a screenshot, and Valdorf shared the screenshot saying this is what an entity looks like. This is what it looks like when an entity believes in moving. So there's a screenshot. So Sephiroth is saying that all of the validators that all nodes uses are moving away from Geth on Haleshki. So it might sound like, oh, that's just it doesn't make a difference. It's just this test net, right? But what this means is they're practicing moving from Geth, which is I think what they use on mainnet at the moment, and running it on Bisu on Haleshki. And then the idea is that if they see all runs properly, then they'll be moving over to Bisu on mainnet as well, which would be really great. So Val gives them props, and he says it's been a day and a half since it sounded like they decided to act, and Jasper says that's fast. And yeah, so this was in the All Nodes Discord, which is really cool because a whole lot of Rocket Pool node operators are on All Nodes. Estimates range from like 15 to 30%, with somewhere between 20 and 25% being the most likely amount. But that's a whole bunch of our node operators and validators that will now hopefully be moving away from Geth and onto Bisu, it looks like here. And then we also had Coinbase coming out and saying that execution client diversity on Ethereum is critical concern for all of us at Coinbase, and here what we're doing about it. So then they had this post kind of saying that they evaluated the execution clients in 2020, and they found at the time that Geth was the best, and they just kind of like have been using Geth ever since. But what they're doing now is that they're going to start a new and they were talking about how they moved away from Prism, because that was a super majority client on the consensus side. And where they've left the story with now is saying that we're performing our latest assessment of alternative execution clients, and we'll have more to share on that process and our next steps by the end of February, which I think is quite a long time for something quite simple. But there you go. And it says, to sum up, we'll take client diversity very seriously and made some good progress, and we're striving to improve more. So this is actually really, really cool, and I'm really happy about that. So as Coinbase did it, then also we got this tweet from Mark, who's ETH Dreamer, saying, now that we've heard from Coinbase, what do you have to say, Kraken? Because Kraken, of course, is another big entity that is using Geth only. And then Mark goes on to say, does Kraken have any plans to run alternative execution clients beyond Geth? If you need technical questions answered to facilitate this, we can easily put you in touch with the client teams. And then Matthew here, who I guess is part of the Kraken team, says the team is currently exploring this. Internal discussions are happening, and we will share updates as we get some decisions in place. So that's really cool that, we also got Kraken here making changes. So over the last couple of days, there's been a lot of criticism about Lido, and saying that they've hardly moved in terms of their execution client diversity in the last a while. I think Jasper shared some numbers that said it only changed by 4% in the last year or something like that. I know I'm probably making a mistake with those numbers there somewhere, but then today Lido released this information saying since Q4 of 2022, so in the period post merge, Geth usage across Lido protocol validators has gone from 93% Geth to 67% Geth, and that is based on preliminary data coming out of Q4 2023. This is final Q4 validator and node operator metrics are still being compiled, but efforts are well underway to help reduce supermajority client risk in Ethereum. So technically right now their Geth usage is still at supermajority levels at 67%, but the fact is they've made huge progress on going down, from compared to a year ago. So I'm definitely giving them kudos for that. So I want to take a couple of minutes to give some shout outs to people who I know that have been working on this like relentlessly. The first person I want to give shout out to, just because I'm talking about Lido right now, is Yorick. Yorick is a Lido node operator, but also a Rocket Pool ODA member and a great community member, part of ETH Staker and a bunch of other groups helping with this. And I think he's been making a lot of noise in the background in Lido to try to get Lido node operators getting them away from Geth and onto other execution layer clients, which is excellent. On a broader sense, I really want to give a shout out to people like Nixo, who has been a part of ETH Staker for a couple of years now and really, banging the drum of client diversity, first on the consensus layer and then the execution layer, and also to people like Hani Abu. I know that I'm going to be like missing a whole lot of names, so I'm really sorry if I didn't mention your name, but there's a couple of other people like Jasper and Miko, who was with Diva, and a bunch of other people as well who've been like really making the right kind of sounds about client diversity. But the main shout out I want to give is to Superfizz. Absolutely love Superfizz, amazing guy. But Superfizz is one of the people who really brought this whole issue to a light a few years ago with the Prism stuff and the supermajority, on that Prism had on before the merge of when the Beacon chain launched. And Fizz, with all of the people I mentioned and others as well who I didn't mention, but Fizz kind of like spearheaded that moment, and he was the first person who I came across who really kind of drilled the importance of client diversity to me. So when I became a Rocket Pool node operator, from the very beginning, I knew not to use Geth. And as soon as I could, I'd like to not use Geth and to not use Prism as well, because I knew that those were supermajority clients at the time, or just had a larger market share than they should have. So from the very beginning, I've always followed Fizz's advice, and I know that countless other people have as well. So to all those champions of client diversity, like a huge shout out to all of you. You're all doing amazing work. And I really feel like these last, 48 hours, as full of dread as they were on Sunday, I really feel like, just over 24, 48 hours, more than 48 hours now. Like, I feel like, really good stuff is going to come from this. And for that, I'm kind of grateful that this happened in quick succession, with Bisu and then Nethermind, because the worst is if it happened on Geth first, then we would have been, up shit creek without a paddle, as they say. But thankfully, we got the taste of the issue without it being a real issue. And anyway, let's get Superfizz on Bankless like he was before when he talked about client diversity, and let's get him talking about execution diversity this time, because we really need those numbers to come down as soon as possible. But I'm so heartened by some of the noises that I've been hearing these last few days. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.